The manhwa starts with a young man kneeling before a dark-haired man, professing his love, even though he knows he probably shouldn't, and the dark-haired man responds by saying that from the moment they met, he knew he would also fall for him. Then suddenly, our protagonist opens her eyes, wondering what kind of dream she just had. She figures she's been reading too many novels lately, and that's why she had such a vivid dream. As she looks around, she realizes her hands are hurting from the 4 drips she's hooked up to, and she has no idea where she is. She lets out a startled shout and some armed men rush into the room, weapons drawn, asking her what's wrong. Seeing their guns, she recoils in fear. Unsure who these men are. They tell her to stay calm, but she hides behind a pillow, insisting they put their guns away while wondering if she's still dreaming. The last thing she remembers is drinking heavily the night before to celebrate finishing a big assignment. Now she's just sitting there, utterly confused about what's going on. She decides to stay calm and first try to figure out exactly where she's woken up, and then moves to the window. Looking out the window, she sees seagulls soaring and faintly hears the sound of waves in the distance, realizing with surprise that she is on an island. How did she end up here? Her panic grows as she catches a glimpse of her reflection. One of the armed men calls out, "Yeonbayal, are you all right?" She recognizes that name. It belongs to the main character from her favorite BL novel, The Boss Man. Between the guards, the island mansion, and a woman named Yeonbayal, she has an inkling of where she might be, but it seems too outlandish to be real. With a shaky voice, she asks one of the men if they are in Baekcheon. He confirms they are and asks why she is asking. She immediately rips the 4 from her hand, convinced this has to be a dream, and takes off running from the room before the men can stop her. They run after her, shouting for her to stop, but she ignores them, heading deliberately somewhere. Taking a turn, the guards realize with surprise that she seems to know her way to their boss's office, which he isn't supposed to know. Her mind races as she runs, the impossible seeming more and more real with every step. She stands in front of a door, praying she is wrong, but the door looks just as it was described in the novel. Her rapidly beating heart tells her this is all too real. She opens the door, muttering to herself that she'll find out once and for all if the boss is there. And lo and behold, Baekcheon, the boss, is present. He stands from his chair as the men apologize, saying they couldn't stop her. She takes in his black hair, tinted blue like the night sky, his eyes mysteriously deep just like on the book's cover illustration. She thinks he is so handsome it hurts her eyes, leaving her speechless, and wonders if she really is inside a novel. Baekcheon pulls out his gun, pointing it at her head, and demands how she knows about his office. She recalls from the novel that only Baekcheon and his most trusted men know of this place, so the real Yeonbayal wouldn't. His reaction is expected. With a gun aimed at her, she finally accepts she has transmigrated into this dark melodrama BL novel. It's a story where 2 rivals fall in love. One is Baekcheon, who runs what seems an ordinary financial corporation, but is actually a front for casinos, drugs, guns, and more nefarious dealings. He heads the Baekcheon syndicate, with a firm grip on the underworld. The other main lead is Yugyeom, the illegitimate son of Baekcheon's rival syndicate, Utopia. Yeonbayal doesn't understand why she's been dropped into this BL world. It makes no sense. One of the men tells Baekcheon this was a small mishap he'll take care of. Baekcheon warns that if it happens again, there will be consequences. The man starts to lead Yeonbayal back to her room, and she follows him willingly while wondering what she should do. Later, after the guards leave her alone in her room with a warning to not leave, she arrives at a conclusion, after thinking about it for an hour, that she is screwed. Her problem isn't that she is in a BL novel, but it is the fact that she is Cha Yeonbayal, who is the stepsister of Baekcheon. After their parents passed, the original Yeonbayal became obsessed with Baekcheon and turned into a villainess who did crazy things to receive his love. At the start of the novel, Cha Yeonbayal was kidnapped by Yugyeom, who launched an attack on Baekcheon. In order to punish Yugyeom for touching Baekcheon, Baekcheon personally went over to Utopia and fell in love with Yugyeom at first sight. Cha Yeonbayal being the villainess was just a plot device for the two male leads' first encounter. After that, she dies, in the hands of Yugyeom. When Baekcheon and Yugyeom first met, the original Yeonbayal became a bridge in their relationship and was destined to die. But the new Yeonbayal refuses to meet that same tragic end. From her calculations, she doesn't think Baekcheon and Yugyeom have crossed paths yet, which means she still has a chance to change things. The most important thing is stopping Yugyeom from ever kidnapping her in the first place. The novel had a sad ending where Yugyeom died. So she decides to save him by altering the story. Yeonbayal opens her desk drawer, expecting to find paper to jot down plans. But instead of a notebook, she finds something else entirely. Later, she goes to the shooting range to practice, but to her dismay, she can't hit a single target. She wonders why she even has a gun if she's this terrible at using it. Since physical force is out, her highest chance of survival may be invoking the will of the previous Baekcheon head, which states protect Cha Yeonbayal until she turns 26. Maybe she can have Baekcheon protect her with his power. But the original obsessive Yeonbayal only did things Baekcheon hated. Will he really go out of his way to safeguard someone he sees as a burden? There's no way he'd save her, she worries. At that moment, Yeonbayal notices someone at the door and wonders who's coming. It's Baekcheon himself. He orders the men to leave them alone for an hour. Startled by his presence, Yeonbayal hides. She watches as Baekcheon shoots, his bullet hitting the bullseye. There's a reason he's the boss, she thinks. She knows she shouldn't be standing around, who knows what will happen if she gets caught. She has to leave quietly. But before she can move, a bullet whizzes past her and she yells in shock, sliding to the floor. Did Baekcheon just shoot at her? He looks at her calmly. I thought there was a rat around, he says, then asks why she seems so surprised. Didn't you come here expecting something? He accuses her of pulling crazy stunts to get his attention as he firmly grips her chin. She trembles with anger, recalling how the original obsessive Yeonbayal threw away all reason just for Baekcheon's notice. Did she really try such an idiotic ploy? It's not her fault she transmigrated into this mess. She pulls Baekcheon by the tie and tells him to listen to her closely, and then she tells him that she doesn't like him again, and she will leave Baekcheon by the end of the week, so he should prepare a farewell party for her, shocking him. She asks him if this isn't a joyous moment for him, and that he should make the farewell party the most fancy and luxurious farewell party he has ever seen. She reasons that since it is impossible for him to help her or for her to protect herself, then she has to escape the novel. She tells Baekcheon she'll leave the farewell party preparations to him as she walks away. When she steps out of the gun range, the men waiting for Han yell in surprise to see her. They start peppering her with questions, but she ignores them, continuing to walk away while screaming internally. What just happened was so scary, the glares Han shot her at the end made her feel like he wanted to devour her. But she's glad she stood her ground. Suddenly, Yeonbayal feels woozy and starts to faint. But before she can hit the ground, someone catches her. Sometime later, she slowly starts to wake, hearing loud voices. When she opens her eyes, she sees Han and two other men in a heated discussion. One man yells at Han, asking how long he neglected Yeonbayal for her to faint twice already. Yeonbayal wonders who this brightly colored stranger is. Han asks why the heir of the Du family needs to be here. The man replies he's come to see Yeonbayal, and asks if Han has a problem with that, which surprises Yeonbayal. She looks at his colorful hair and fancy clothes and calls him cotton candy. The man leans close and bluntly asks her if she has gotten uglier. Han calls him Du Shiyu and orders him to leave. Shiyu says if it's an order he has no choice, but he hopes what happened to Yeonbayal doesn't repeat itself. Shiyu leans in to whisper to her that if she wants to escape, he'll help her. Then he departs. Yeonbayal remembers that in the original novel, Du Shiyu was the heir of the Du family who was devoted to Baekcheon, but she can't recall if he featured before. She wonders if he was close to the original Yeonbayal, and if she can trust his offer to help her escape. Han brings up Yeonbyul's supposed plan to leave Baekcheon and her demand for a farewell party. Shocking her, she'd almost forgotten he was still there. "I can't shoot a gun or work at Baekcheon, so it's time I left," she tells him. He climbs on the bed as he says that she keeps doing things she hasn't done before, and asks her if she is switching up her tactics to gain his attention. Then he touches her face as he says that he will prepare her farewell party. She tells him to show her what he can do while wondering if she just put up a new death flag. On the day of the fancy boat party bidding her farewell, Yeonbyul has just finished getting dressed when the maid helping her comments that she looks beautiful. She also says that the outfit is a deviation from her usual provocative style, but it suits you well. Everyone will be shocked. The original Yeonbyul always dressed promiscuously to catch Han's eye. The maid adds that Yeonbyul that her attitude has changed a lot, and she keeps doing things she hasn't done before. Yeonbyul recalls that that was the same thing Han said before. She thinks that he doesn't know that she is not the real Yeonbyul, and she doesn't know what he will do now that she has changed. Someone tells Yeonbyul that the boss, Han, is waiting for her outside, and she tells the person that she will be out shortly while telling herself that no one knows that she is not the real Yeonbyul. She thinks that if something goes wrong, she will never be able to leave Baekcheon, and as she steps out, she thinks that she has to survive in this crazy melodramatic novel. As she steps out, she tells herself that she has to survive this. Han stretches his hand out to escort Yeonbyul, but instead of taking it, she asks if he plans to accompany her personally, and he replies saying yes, since people are watching. She tells him that she is grateful for his offer but someone else already asked to escort her. When he asks her who, she tells him Shiyu, who she has grown closer to. Han simply says that that is a bit displeasing, and pulls her closer as he says that she is his one and only younger sister so he can't just hand her off to someone else, and then he squeezes her hand. Yeonbyul thinks his concern seems more about keeping her under Baekcheon's control than any real care for her well-being. His obsession stems from his desire to possess everything associated with Baekcheon. Releasing her hand, Han orders his men to escort her downstairs instead. Yeonbyul wonders why the original version was so infatuated with this man. She just needs to get through today, then she can escape this place. But before she leaves, she wants to ruin Han. In Han's office, Jiwon, his personal bodyguard, asks why Han wanted to personally escort Yeonbyul, which is something he's never done before. He asks if Han is feeling bothered by her. Han recalls the first time he saw Yeonbyul, 12 years ago. After his mother passed away, his father brought home a new woman who looked just like her, along with the woman's daughter, Cha Yeonbyul. Seeing them, who he viewed as replacements for his beloved mother, filled Han with uncontrollable anger. Deep down, he knew the young Yeonbyul was blameless, so he tried to ignore her. But the day she destroyed the rose bushes his mother had cherished. Wanting his affection, he saw her selfish desires reflected in her teary eyes. From then on, he directed all his hatred towards her. But now, her sudden disinterest makes Yeonbyul seem like a different person entirely. Han tells Jiwon that she has successfully captured his attention. He orders him to assign someone trustworthy to monitor Yeonbyul's every move and report back. When Jiwon brings up her planned departure, Han tells him to put Yeonbyul's tri-pit on hold for now. Later, Yeonbyul arrives at her lavish farewell party to find Han waiting to escort her inside. She takes his outstretched hand, wondering if he'd been waiting this whole time. She thought he wouldn't accompany her since she asked him not to. Despite having read the novel, she can't figure out what's going through his mind. As they step inside, she looks around in surprise at the incredible scale of the party. Yeonbyul can't believe Han managed to throw such an extravagant party on such short notice. She notices the waiters all wear masks, likely to distinguish Baekcheon's staff. Jiwon whispers something to Han, and as Han starts to leave, Yeonbyul asks if something happened. He tells her that it is nothing, and orders her not to leave Jiwon's side. She points out Jiwon is always with him, and he tells her that she can have Jiwon for the day. She glares, thinking he does whatever he wants. She'll just get through this farewell party positively, take the money she prepared, and leave, then she can do whatever she wants. She just has to avoid getting involved with the main characters ever again. As the party progresses, Han gets surrounded while Yeon Bae-yeol stands in a corner sipping wine, when a woman approaches her, saying it's been a while. Yeon Bae-yeol stares blankly at the red-haired woman, not recognizing her. The woman, who notices Yeon Bae-yeol's blank expression, asks her about it and says that her head still hurts from when Yeon Bae-yeol pulled her hair. Ji-won asks Yeon Bae-yeol if he should take care of the woman. The woman tauntingly asks Yeon Bae-yeol if she will hit her again, and calls her a lowlife who doesn't know her place. Yeon Bae-yeol thinks that she is not the real Cha Yeon Bae-yeol, but she is someone who would back down from a fight. She touches the woman's red hair as she tells her that her shabby hair reminded her of the incident. She tends to forget things she has seen so much of, and if she was unique like her she would have remembered her. Yeon Bae-yeol doesn't know what happened, but the fact that the original Yeon Bae-yeol pulled her hair and for her to dress up so extravagantly to attend a party hosted by Baekcheon must be because of Han. Grabbing her face, Yeon Bae-yeol says mockingly she's not her brother's type, and walks away, leaving the furious woman behind. As she walks away thinking that the party is about the party coming to an end soon, she suddenly trips over someone's outstretched foot, her wine glass falling. Ji-won steadies her, asking if she's hurt. She realizes she was tripped intentionally, but by whom? The waiter whose foot tripped her apologizes for his mistake. But looking at his grayish-blonde hair, she instantly recognizes as the other male lead, Yugyeom, and she calls out his name in surprise. She wonders why Yugyeom is here, it makes no sense. He apologizes again, and asks her who Yugyeom is. She asks herself how Yugyeom could attend Baekcheon's party without an invitation. Since Yugyeom is an illegitimate son of Utopia, he didn't attend official events and most of the people in Baekcheon didn't know what he looked like. She tells herself to stay alert since Yugyeom is wearing a mask. He offers to escort her somewhere to treat her bleeding hand, and he takes his outstretched hand, thinking it's fine with Ji-won there. But on the way, Ji-won gets sidetracked dealing with the red-headed woman, leaving Yeon Bae-yeol alone with the disguised Yugyeom. Still, she follows, naively thinking all is well. She asks if he works for Baekcheon or is just part-time staff. He responds by saying that they don't simply allow anyone into Baekcheon. She thinks he has a way with words and plans to ask Ji-won something when she returns from the restroom. After cleaning her hands, she steps out onto the balcony, thinking she hasn't had a chance to breathe fresh air since transmigrating to this world. Gazing at the star-filled night sky, she feels like she's in a dream, sensing she's in an entirely different realm. Everything around her feels so unfamiliar, leaving her with a sense of loneliness. Yugyeom drapes his jacket over her shoulders, asking if she's all right, startling her. Apologizing for surprising her. He says she looks cold and lonely. She tells him there's no way she'd feel lonely at a party hosted by her dear brother. He remarks that it seems she and her brother are close, but she's a terrible liar. He continues, when looking into someone's eyes, he can discern truth from lies and lying is his specialty. Yeon Bae-yeol instantly recalls Yugyeom uttering those exact words to Han in the novel. At that moment, the first snowflakes begin to fall, and she wonders why events meant to transpire during Han and Yugyeom's initial meeting are occurring now with her instead. Unsure how to extricate herself, Yugyeom then asks how she, the Baekcheon princess, identified him when even Han could not. Flustered, she claps her hand over his mouth, stalling as she contemplates her next move. He asks if she's trying to remove his mask, saying he'll take it off if that's her desire, and she inwardly screams for him not to. Alas, Yugyeom removes his disguise, revealing his face while addressing her as princess. He demands to know how she recognized him as Yugyeom and if she has an informant. Panicked, she wonders if this is truly the end for her. Suddenly, an explosion violently rocks the ship, causing Yugyeom, who had been holding her hand, to release his grip. Seizing the chance, she tries to flee, but Yugyeom grabs her shoulder before she reaches the door. Whirling around, she holds a gun aimed squarely at him. Shocked, he didn't know she carried a weapon. Thinking she must escape this predicament alone, she bravely asks Yugyeom why he has infiltrated the Baekcheon event. Yugyeom grips the top of the gun, telling Yeonbaeyal he simply wants to survive this harsh world, and so far, he'll do whatever it takes to stay alive. As Utopia's illegitimate child, Yugyeom was treated as a mere tool, never receiving love. When Yeonbaeyal read about his isolated, unhappy life countless times in the novel, she fervently wished he could find happiness. There was also something she always longed to tell him. Looking directly at him, she reveals, "I know who you are because I love you." That's what I've always wanted to say. He was her favorite character in the story. Yugyeom stares at her in shock, but before he can respond, another thunderous explosion shakes the ship. Seizing the opportunity, Yeonbaeyal flees again. As she runs, she ponders that it's not yet time for Yugyeom's attack on Baekcheon according to the original plot, wondering why he's here now. The story began with the original Yeonbaeyal's kidnapping in summer. Nothing is unfolding as depicted in the novel, a deviation she doesn't believe stems from her arrival. Reaching the ship's deck, she steps through a pool of blood only to find Han amidst numerous dead bodies, and she wonders if they are Yugyeom's men. Han orders Ji-won to escort Yeonbaeyal away, while she marvels at how he could take on so many foes single-handedly. Before Ji-won reaches her, Yugyeom seizes her from behind, holding a knife to her throat. He tells Han he didn't expect the Baekcheon boss to be present personally, puzzling Yeonbaeyal, since she wonders why he'd be there if unaware of Han's attendance. She glances at Han, expressionless as he stares at Yugyeom, recalling he was supposed to fall for him at first sight in the story. Instead, Han bluntly tells Yugyeom to kill Yeonbaeyal, shocking her, though she knew Han couldn't truly protect her. To save herself, she looks imploringly at Yugyeom, asking if he's aware she loves him as she thinks that she has to escape even if it means stealing the boss's man. Yugyeom looks at her in shock and asks her if what she said is real. Yugyeom has always craved affection, something Yeonbaeyal intends to exploit. She assures him her love is genuine. At that moment, Han fires his gun. Yugyeom shoves Yeonbaeyal aside as the bullet narrowly misses them both. Han scathingly tells her she's spouting nonsense before him. Yeonbaeyal wonders if he's lost his mind, realizing he truly doesn't mind ending her life. She notices the bullet grazed Yugyeom's arm and asks why he pushed her out of harm's way. He replies, saying that he wanted to know more about why she liked him. Just then, more of Yugyeom's men arrive on the scene. Ji-won urgently tells Han these are the enemy forces and he needs to take cover, calling for Yeonbaeyal too. She glances at Yugyeom, briefly considering just abandoning him there. Before she can decide, Yugyeom asks if she'll allow him to play the gallant prince. To her surprise, he sweeps her up into his arms. "From now on, don't you dare leave my side. I have no intention of letting you go," he declares. Yeonbaeyal realizes with dismay that she's being kidnapped. Spotting Shiyu nearby, she desperately calls out for him to save her. But Yugyeom tells her to close her eyes before leaping off the boat, ominously stating she'll accompany him to his personal hell. After the jump, Yeonbaeyal has a dream where her voice doesn't come out of her mouth, in severe pain, and she feels suffocated, like a snake trapped her. She sees Baekcheon and tries to reach out to him for help, and then the scene changes to the scene on the boat when he points a gun at her. She wakes up from the dream yelling and panting, and after she settles down, she realizes that she is in an unfamiliar room. She recalls Yugyeom jumping off the boat with her, and thinks that after everything she has been kidnapped by Yugyeom. Looking out the window, she sees dense buildings, a sparkling city, and a skyscraper consisting of 66 floors, which is exactly how the novel describes Utopia. She thinks that she can't stay there and she decides to escape, however, she can't find the door as there are only walls and bookshelves everywhere. She figures that there is a trapdoor somewhere because in the original novel, Yugyeom, who was determined to stay alive, made many secret doors for emergencies. The problem is that the details about the secret doors were unclear. So she starts moving all the books on the bookshelves because, in the movies she has seen, one of the books becomes the key. At that moment, Yugyeom asks her what she is doing and asks her if a secret door opened by a book isn't too boring. He tells her not to try too hard because the door only opens from the outside. Yeonbayal tells herself that she has to act cautiously because Yeonbayal could end her life at any time. So she comes up with a plan to close her eyes and flirt with him a little. Yugyeom moves closer to her and he asks her if she has any questions like why he kidnapped her. She surprises him by asking him if his injuries have gotten better and says that she thinks that the wound was deep, so she was wondering if he has received treatment. Yugyeom bursts out laughing and asks her if she is really worried about him, who abducted her. She retorts by saying that she isn't stupid enough to worry about her kidnapper, and he tells her that unless she is an idiot, she should have said yes. She instantly recognizes her mistake and tells Yugyeom that she doesn't think she can deceive him with lies, so she will be honest with him. He smiles at her, asking if she will really be honest. His smile surprises her because she doesn't think that he is capable of making such expressions. He places his hand on the wall behind her and asks her why she loves him, and she wonders what she should do. She thinks that she can't say that she loves him because he is her favorite character in the novel. He touches her hair as he asks her if he is her type, still smiling, which makes her wonder how he isn't the main character when he is so handsome. Then she tells herself to come back to her senses so she won't die. He asks her if she knows where they are, and how much she knows about him. She knows that he is an illegitimate child, she knows the type of family he comes from, and everything else, but if she says that, he will end her life without hesitation. So she tells him that she liked him because he is famous for being handsome, which makes him laugh. Then he asks her why she said liked him in the past tense, and if she has stopped loving him. She thinks that meant that she liked him as her favorite character, but she can't say that. At that moment, fireworks start going off in the city, which surprises her. He explains that that day is the week of the celebration of the founding of Utopia, and from the next day, the construction period begins. He also tells her that there are about 1,000 people participating in the construction of Utopia, and she is the only woman. When he asks her if she doesn't like it, she tells him that it is very annoying. Just then, Lee Chan bursts into the room yelling Yugyeom's name and asks why Yugyeom is calm and flirting while he is about to have a heart attack. According to the novel, when Yugyeom expelled his brothers and took over Utopia, Lee Chan was the closest and most helpful to him. Chan points at Yeonbayal as he asks Yugyeom who she is, and why he brought her there. Yugyeom coolly replies that he brought her with him from Baekcheon, and an angry Chan asks Yugyeom if he came back with a stranger after he sent him on a mission. Yeonbayal says she isn't a stranger as she thinks to safely stay in Utopia, she needs at least one more person beside her. And Lee Chan, who survived in Utopia without a friend, is her choice. She thinks that she must win him over to her side while she has the chance. She tells Chan that Yugyeom found something unbelievable in Baekcheon, and introduces herself as Baekcheon's younger sister. Chan repeats that as he looks at Yugyeom, and asks him what Yeonbayal means. Before Yugyeom can reply, loud voices from the other side of the door stop him. The person causing the commotion speaks about herself in the third person, saying Yua doesn't need anyone's permission, and Yeonbayal instantly recognizes the name. Yua is Yugyeom's half-sister, she is the person who hates and annoys Yugyeom the most, and she is one of Utopia's successors. Yugyeom tells Chan to take care of the princess, and Chan asks him what princess. At that moment, Yua pushes the maid, stopping her from seeing Yugyeom away, and enters the room calling out Yugyeom's name. Yugyeom mutters that it is already too late, pulls Yeonbayal to him, which shocks her, and tells her that he is about to kiss the princess so she shouldn't be surprised. Then he kisses her. As Yugyeom kisses her, she wonders what is happening. Yua asks if she came while her brother is too busy to notice her and if she is in trouble now. Yugyeom breaks the kiss and says that he thinks that it is her fault for not informing him of her coming first while wiping Yeonbayal's lipstick away from his lips. Yua says that they say one can't fake blood, but that is ridiculous, and asks where that naivety went. Yugyeom says that that is how he looks at his sister and father, which annoys Yua. He asks Yua if he can finish what he was doing since she doesn't have anything to say, and says that it is okay with him if she keeps standing there, but his princess is having a tough time. Yua laughs and says that she can't help but feel dirty everything she talks to him, and she starts to leave. She stops at the door and adds that Yugiam's head will be cut off soon. After she leaves, Yugiam apologizes to Yeonbayal for surprising her, and Chan yells at him asking him what he just did. Yugiam ignores him as he puts on his tie, and asks Chan if his father summoned him. Chan recalls that he came to call Yugiam to see his father, and says they should leave immediately. But Yugiam tells him to take care of the princess and tells Yeonbayal that it was his first kiss, which shocks her. He points out that it seems to also be her first kiss, and says that she can't really lie. 3 days later, Yeonbayal throws a mini tantrum about the fact that Yugiam told her that the kiss they shared was his first kiss and disappears for 3 days. She asks Chan when will Yugiam be back, and Chan tells her to calm down. He points out that she is very comfortable with them for someone who is a hostage, and she tells him that staying with them is very comfortable, and asks him if they haven't become friends. Then she demands that he tell her where Yugiam is, which makes Chan angry. Yeonbayal has been well taken care of, however, the reason she is worried is that her death date according to the original novel is getting closer and closer. She lies on the couch wondering what she should do and thinks that she must meet Yugiam before Han falls in love with him, and she can't escape because Chan is always by her side. She falls asleep wondering if her last day comes while she is still there. When she wakes up hours later, a note falls from her head. She picks up and reads the note from Chan, which says that he went out and will be back soon, so she should keep calm. Since she is finally alone, she sees this as an opportunity to escape, but first, she needs weapons. She tries to open Yugiam's desk, but it doesn't open, so she starts to think of places she hasn't thought of. She sees a wall that is strangely clean, like the door Yugiam entered from when she first woke up, which makes her wonder if there is a passage outside. She looks at the wall wondering what opens it and if there is a secret button. Just then, she hears Yugiam's voice calling her princess. She turns around to see him covered in blood. He reminds her that he told her before that what she is doing is boring. She asks him if he is sick as he raises his hand to touch her hair with his bloody hand. He quickly stops himself, saying that he forgot that his hands are dirty, and she thinks that he is worried about somebody else when he could die because of his wounds. She tells him that it is impossible for her to be okay while he is away, which shocks him, and that she waited for him for so long, that she feared he would never come. Yes, she was scared, but she was scared because whenever she woke up she wondered if that day was the last day of the festival, and she was afraid of dying without being able to do anything. Yugiam leans close to her and says that he hopes the princess is honest about what she said, and asks her if he is being too greedy. He asks her to repeat what she said and asks her why she waited for him. She replies by asking how she can relax and sleep comfortably when the person who is holding her life disappears. He points out that she slept comfortably in his bed, which is why he slept outside. She wonders if he came when she was asleep, and becomes angry because she was told that he didn't come. She tells him that she couldn't sleep in peace and she tossed and turned because of nightmares. He leans closer, loosely holding her neck as he says that it could be a bit of a problem if anything happened to her, and she told him to come and check on her every day, preferably when she is awake since it would be a problem if she were to suffer and die. Then she adds that she can't sleep because she is anxious when she can't see the one that holds her life. She tells herself that she needs to stay focused and that she needs time to sweet-talk her kidnapper, using everything she knows to charm him so he won't end her life. He asks her if she knows what she is saying, and she replies that she knows and that the both of them will survive together in this hell. Yugiam leaves Yeonbayal thinks about the last thing she said. He leans against a nearby wall, loosening his tie as he wonders what kind of emotions he is feeling, and thinks that it is frustrating and suffocating. He also can't forget the way Yeonbayal looked at him. At that moment, Lee Chan walks up to him, asking him where he is going, and asks him if this is the first time he has seen Yeonbayal since the day he brought her to Utopia. Yugyeom confirms that he met Yeonbayal, and says that it was more fun than he expected. Chon changes the topic by asking Yugyeom if he knows what news he just heard. When Yugyeom asks him what the news is, he asks Yugyeom if he knows about the smuggling case that Baekcheon has been working on for months. Yugyeom confirms that he knows about that, just as they enter an office, whose wall is covered with papers that are connected with red wool. Chon tells Yugyeom that Baekcheon intercepted the smuggling case in the middle, which is strange. Chon continues by saying that they, Utopia, snatched some hoods from the cruise ship, and so far they have only messed with Baekcheon once or twice. The founder of Baekcheon was originally from Utopia. He was the most trusted person and the second in command to the leader of Utopia at the time. Baekcheon betrayed the leader of Utopia and established his own organization, which is why Utopia has harbored resentment towards Baekcheon for several generations. But until now, it has been rare for Baekcheon to make the first move against Utopia. Yugyeom says that there can only be one reason for them to attack first, and that reason is Cha Yeonbayal, the princess of Baekcheon. Chon says that he didn't expect much because of Yeonbayal's bad reputation, but she is unexpectedly resourceful, and he is thinking of stirring up a little trouble and contacting Baekcheon in about 3 days. Yugyeom agrees to the plan and thinks that Yeonbayal is an opportunity for them to gain the upper hand. However, he can't help but wonder why, even though the winning move is in his hand, he isn't happy at all, and why it bothers him so much. The following day, Yeonbayal asks Chon if he is going to a masquerade ball as she looks at all the masks he put on the floor. He tells her that it is customary to attend the Utopia Foundation celebration wearing a mask, and asks her to choose a mask that suits him. She tells him that he is naturally funny so he doesn't need one, and Yugyeom holds her shoulder from behind as he calls her princess, and tells her to choose one for him, shocking her. She asks him what he is doing there, and he reminds her that he asked her to come every day. She tells him that she didn't expect him to come. He says that he guesses that it was true that she got along well with her brother, which surprises her, and says that he didn't believe it at first, but his brother has warned him not to touch her or he will end his life. Yeonbayal finds it impossible that Han said that because it is clear to her that Han is cold-hearted. She thinks that Han probably said that because his pride was touched, and then she realized that she could use the current situation to her advantage. She tells Yugyeom that her brother cares about her a lot because she is someone who must be protected in the Baekcheon family, while she thinks that she will make Yugyeom think that Baekcheon is angry that she has been kidnapped. Yugyeom touches her hair as he absorbs what she said, and then he turns to Chon asking him if he has chosen a mask for the founding celebration. When Chon says he doesn't know which mask he should wear, Yugyeom picks up a mask as he asks Yeonbayal to help him pick a mask too. He puts the mask on his face, asking her if it suits him, and she just stares at him, thinking that if he keeps behaving like that, she might just fall in love with him. Hours later, Chon slams his fist on the table and complains about missing something again. Yeonbayal, who knows that Chon is a hacker, asks him if he has to make a fuss every time, and Chon says that even though he is well versed in the hacking field, the hacker he is trying to jack keeps slipping away from him every time. She asks him if it doesn't mean that he isn't good enough, but he doesn't reply to her. Just then, the Jenga she was playing collapses, and Yugyeom announces that the princess won. She didn't expect Yugyeom to come to see her as she told him to, and she also didn't expect him to spend time with her playing games, which makes her wonder what he is thinking. Chon tells Yugyeom that it is time for his appointment, and Yugyeom stands, telling Yeonbayal that he will come back again, but until then, she should wait for him. Chon adds that she should be quiet, and she laughs, telling him to stop worrying and go. After they leave, Yeonbayal lies on the couch thinking that she is luckier than the original Cha Yeonbayal because they look after her a lot. However, she can't let her guard down. She also thinks that Yugyeom might just be trying to calm her down and whisper some sweet words to her so that he can make her do as he wishes later, which is how he deals with people. She hears loud noises coming from outside the door, which shocks her. She wonders who is outside as she is sure that it isn't Yugium. At that moment voices from the other side of the door start talking about a woman inside the room, and they speculate that she is from Baekcheon. Yeonbaeol recognizes one of the voices as Yua's voice. Yua orders someone to open the door, and Yeonbaeol wonders what she should do and thinks that if Yua finds her and finds out that she is from Baekcheon, she will interrogate her. She also thinks that if she hides they will find her, and she doesn't know how to open the secret doors. Then she picks up one of Chan's masks thinking that it is all or nothing. When the door opens, she asks if he is already there, pretending to be expecting Yugium, and when she sees Yua, she says, "Oh, you are not Yugium." She is wearing the mask and pushes one of the sleeves down to expose her shoulder. She asks Yua if she knows when Yugium will come and says that she even prepared a gift for him, while Yua looks at her like she is dirt that got stuck to her shoes. Yeonbaeol tells herself that she must endure and control her nerves so Yua won't find out who she is, because if she does, she will die. She also asks Yua to keep her company because she is bored, and Yua pushes her and tells the man who came with her that they should get out of there. Yeonbaeol stands saying Yua was harsh and starts to walk out of the room wishing that Yugium would come to her aid. She kicks something, and when she looks down at what she kicked she sees that all the guards that stand outside the room, which she has been locked and dead on the floor, which makes her starts trembling in fear. Suddenly, Yua stops her and asks her what she was doing in the room alone. Then she says that no one can enter her brother's room easily. Yeonbaeol curses, and then immediately starts running. Yua yells at her men to get Yeonbaeol, and they immediately start shooting at her. She runs as quickly as she can down the hall, and luckily for her she finds an elevator with the doors open. She runs inside thinking that she is saved, but as she presses the elevator button, the men chasing starts to get closer. They continue shooting at her, but the bullets ends up hitting the elevator wall instead while she frantically presses the button, willing for the door to close. They yell at her to stop wherever is, and threatens to end her life if she doesn't, and luckily for her, the door closes. As the elevator descends to the underground basement where Yugium is playing poker, she thinks there she has to find Yugium and Chan since they won't end her life immediately because they think Baekcheon values her. She adjusts the mask on her face to make sure it keeps her face covered just in case someone might recognize her. When the doors open, she sees that the place is on fire, which shocks her. She sees people running for their lives and yelling while she wonders what happened. She thinks that the fire and Yua going to Yugium's room happening at the same moment is definitely not a coincidence. In the chaos, people start shoving her as they try to find safety, which makes her mask fall off her face. She wonders how she is going to find Yugium, and at that moment, Chang grabs her arm, asking her what she is doing there. She asks him about Yugium, and he tells her that Yugium was inside but he must have already left. She tells him to go out and find help, then runs inside, and Chan yells at her, asking her if she is crazy. Yeonbaeol thinks that there is no way Yugium would have escaped from the fire because he has a trauma related to fire. There was a similar situation as this one in the novel. When the explosion and flames surrounded Yugium, he collapsed, and the person who saved him was Han. But since Han isn't there to save Yugium, only Yeonbaeol can do it. She finds Yugium passed out in a corner. And she rushes to his side, yelling his name but gets no response. So she puts his arm over her shoulders to support his weight, and starts dragging him out while telling herself to hang in there. Another explosion rocks the basement, causing Yeonbaeol to fall with Yugium. He opens his eyes, saying God, and she tells him to hold on just a little bit longer, and she will definitely save him. She looks around her, and thinks that her current situation is clearly a nightmare. For more, please like, comment, and subscribe to Manhwa. Thanks for watching. Bye.